I did want to ask you guys and get your guys' perspective too about the Four Horsemen in general. Like obviously, like they're one of the best wrestling factions of all time, maybe even the best. A lot of people will say, depending on what area you kind of grew up in. Magnum, talk about your experience and what your overall thoughts of the Four Horsemen are. And I want to follow up too. Was there ever an interest on your end to be a part of the Four Horsemen? And was there any ever talk of that kind of maybe coming for you?
The it was a transition time because the Four Horsemen became so cool that it was on the cusp of that. Not because they were trying to do this, but it was where that babyface heel thing was like teeter tottering,
Mm-hmm.
and there was a whole faction in the building, particularly when you go places like Greensboro, that there'd be a whole row around ringside. They were all dressed in suits and ties and stuff, and and holding up the four fingers and the Horseman fans, and so they had that thing, that cool bad guy vibe going, but then they could also really turn it on and get serious heat, like angles where they broke Dusty's leg, or when they jumped me in a dressing room and beat me all up when I was separated from Rick, and I mean from Dusty, and so they weren't afraid to get the heat, and that was the difference in guy like Tully Blanchard never in any moment in his life ever wanted to be anything but a heel,
Yeah.
and get the heat and play that role and play it to a T, and that's what he lived, breathed, and died for. And Arn was, again, he was not like a wannabe babyface. He
Mm-hmm.
wanted to be the heel. He was good in that role. He was good at getting the heat and the timing of it, and not having some ego where he thought he should be tougher, or he should be this, or he should be that. And I never and the Barry iteration of it came along after my accident. But to me, it was Barry Windham at his best and in that group, because Barry was one of those guys that his in-ring game was A plus plus plus, and his interview was was like a B, and not because he wasn't trying to. I'm just saying his he wasn't an overtop, uh, like Flair talker. I mean, Arn was 5-star talker,
Right.
but
Yeah.
Barry was solid talker. But he just wasn't. When you're putting yourself next to Arn and the Ricks, there's natural comparisons that are drawn. But that whole group took him like to a whole nother level where he was really getting the ring time and the recognition, and he knew how to get that heat too. Because I mean, he had no bones about being a heel. I think he enjoyed that role far more than being a babyface, and he was a big guy. I mean, Barry 6'5", 6'6", and when he was mature, at his best ever role, he was probably 255, 260 pounds, and could go in the ring is good or better than anybody. He was a Randy Orton before there was Randy Orton. I mean, he was that quality of big man athlete, and so yeah, that was the best iteration of them. Would I have ever? I had no desire to be a heel. I
Mm-hmm.
wanted to be a lone wolf babyface. I didn't want to be like I was taking myself down a road where the only real ally I had was Dusty,
Mm-hmm.
and I really didn't like to be, I didn't want to be, with the Rock and Roll Express and the Teeny Boppers and the this, that, and the other. And I'd already, smacked Bob Geigel in the face, and when he was the president of the, NWA, and I really liked that character. So I didn't want to be part of a group. I didn't want to be a heel, but I didn't want to be a standard. I was kind of the attitude before the era.
Right.
I was trying to carve a new path and a new lane. And so now I had no desire to ever be anything but the character that I was carving out for myself, and it would have just played well as the world's heavyweight champion, because I wouldn't have had to been a heel, but I could certainly, gone out there and been rugged enough if I was in some other promotion with somebody that was a straight baby face to carry the role if I had to.
Yeah. Yeah. I think Magnum, you could have fit either position, I think, to be honest. I think you would have been good either way.